All right, so our app is moving right along. So in this section, we'll continue. We'll start adding some text here and add this list view as well. I wonder if I could squeeze all this on one screen. Let's give it a shot. Not too bad. All right, so right after our image here, we want to add some text for Philadelphia Convention Center. So inside our column, let's come down, do a comma here, and we want to add some text here that says Philadelphia Convention Center. Like that. And then we also want some text for March 14th, like this here. And if we save that just like that, we're going to see that we have some black text here right on the image, and it's right up close to each other. And we can see over here that we have a little bit of space between the image and the convention center, some space between those two lines, and clearly the March 14th is of a bigger font than the Philadelphia Convention Center there. So I can see I misspelled Convention Center. All right, so we definitely want some space between our text and our image. So we can do that with a container. And we can just simply give it some height. So let's say 20 pixels like that. And this is going to move the Philadelphia Convention Center down. And we can add a little bit of space here, and I want much less space between Philadelphia Convention Center and March 14th. So again, we'll do a container, and again, we'll give it a height property. But let's just say 2. All right, so the text is black here for Philadelphia Convention Center. So let's add some styling to make that white. And for our style, we're going to give it a text style widget. And we want to give the color property a colors.white. And let's also, while we're here, let's specify font size. And let's say that's going to be 14.0. All right, that's looking a little bit more like our demo. And so let's do the same thing here to March 14th. Let's add a style property, and so we'll give it a text style widget. And the color will be colors white. And let's give that a font size of 22.0. So we'll make it bigger than the Philadelphia Convention Center. That looks pretty similar to what we have here. So next we want some space, and we want to put this header word for schedule here. So let's come after our March 14th text widget. And we're going to want some more space, so let's do a container with a height, and let's give that height of 40. So it's a good amount of space between the 14th and the schedule. And then for the schedule, we're going to do a text widget that says schedule. And we know we're definitely going to want to do some styling here, so let's do a style, text style widget. And specify that the color will be colors.white. And let's give it a font size of 18. So we're just going to vary the size a little bit, just to visually represent the importance on the screen. And then we'll give that a comma. All right, so next on our app, we need to build a list view that would allow us to scroll here. So we know that if we just add a list view like this, and we save, we are going to get an error because we added an unbounded widget, list view, to our bounded widget column, and we know that's a no-go. So we also know how we can fix that by putting in the expanded widget so that we have a bounded widget all within the column. So let's wrap with a widget, and let's say that that widget is going to be an expanded widget. And if we clear out our error and we hit save, we should see that the error disappears. And if we're just curious how things are going here, we can go to our widget inspector and we can turn on the debug paint property to see the outline of all of the widgets that we put on the screen. And we can see this expanded widget is now covering the remaining area of the pink that is left. All right, I'm going to turn that off because that's going to get hard to manage. And I'm going to get rid of the widget inspector so I get more space to work with here. So inside of ListView, we want a series of widgets to list. So we're going to add some children. And this is essentially a row. So we have a widget here with the text, and then we have a widget over here with the item. So we've got the time here, the item over here. So let's give ourselves a row. And let's give ourselves some children. And so the left side of that row is going to be a text. So let's start with the first item and say 08:30 a.m. And then another text. And then another text, which will be welcome. All right, so we can see that needs some work because everything's over here on the left side. It's black. So let's go ahead and do some styling on the 8:30 part. So we'll add a style, and that of course will be a text style widget. And we probably already know that we want colors white. Now let's also do bold for the time. So that would be font weight. Capital W. And so that's a font weight widget, and we will do dot, and we'll just select bold. All right, so we got a nice bold 8:30 like that. Let's do the same thing for the welcome. So we'll do a style, we'll do a text style widget, and of course we'll do colors.white. And instead of bold here, let's do italic. So that would be font style and font style italic. All right, so those look all right, although they're kind of goofy over here on the left side. So we have a row here, we have some children. And so if we do main axis alignment and a main axis alignment helper widget, do our dot, and look at all the options that we have, what we really want to do is space between these. So that we push them all the way to the end here. Now that's part of our battle, but clearly we want to have some kind of padding around these so that they're pushed a little bit more into the center. See, these are not sitting right on the edge like that, like we have. So what we can do is wrap our row. So we click on row, we go to our light bulb, we wrap it with a container. And then we know one of the properties in our container is padding. And a padding property takes an edge insets helper widget. And we have done dot all in the past, so we add the same amount of padding, top, bottom, left, right. This time, let's pick symmetrical, because all the padding I want to add is the right and the left. I don't want to add top and bottom. So if we do symmetrical, our two choices are horizontal or vertical. And so we want to add horizontal, and we want to add a fairly large amount. So let's add 30. And now we can see these have moved in off the side and moved in towards the center. Now you might be asking on the main axis alignment why we didn't do something like space evenly like that and not have any padding. And the answer is these get longer. That's going to affect where those end up. So what we really want is for them to have the space between, so that this one is pushed all the way to the right side, this one is pushed all the way to the left side, and then with our padding we can consistently say what that left and right line is. And so as we're looking over here, what we need to do, I see there's a line in between each entry, and I'm really realizing now that I lied to you when I told you that we would use only widgets we learned in the basic unit section. This is actually a widget called the divider, which is very simple. And so we'll go ahead and add that in. We won't worry about that. Our problem, though, is that our container that has our padding right here has a child property. So that's not a multi-widget property. So we have our row, and I can't just go adding a divider at the end. So how I can fix that is instead of a row there, I can wrap that existing row with a column like that, and that should change nothing on the screen, except that after the row now, I can come down and do a divider widget like that. So the divider widget is very faint by default, and it does have a property for color, so I'm going to add colors.white because we're doing a total monochromatic theme here. And it goes like that. I can also see there's a little bit of space in between the row and the divider here, so why don't I do another container, and we'll do a height of, say, 10, like that, and that will just give it a little space after each one of these items and match our demo app over here. All right, so we're coming right along here. We have one item in our list view. So in the next section, this is where our record begins and ends. So we have this much code to represent this line right here. And we could start adding more lines by adding this much code in the children of this expanded list view, but that's going to get awfully messy. So in the next section, let's take a look at how we can make this a little bit cleaner.